Hi, Grant Grizzlies. It's Miss Ali here again. We're going to be talking about our toolbox tools again this week. I know we've gone through quite a few so far, and we have some more to continue learning about. I am here today with Mr. V.
Hi, Grizzlies. Good to be back for another week. I know that it's going quick, and after all the weather last night, the rain and the wind, hope everybody's doing okay and everyone's internet connections are working. But as the weather gets worse and we're stuck inside, some of these tools could be more valuable as you don't have as much space to yourself.
It's very true. We talking about weather issues. Miss Lucy is not able to be here with us today because she is having some issues with her internet because of the stormy weather last night. And you know, these kinds of things happen. I know the breathing tool would be very helpful when you're feeling frustrated. The breathing tool helps us remember to check in with ourselves and calm ourselves. Another good one is the garbage can tool, being able to let some of those little things go when they happen. All right, I'm going to introduce a new tool to you guys today. This one is called the Using Our Words tool. This tool is very helpful because we know that the things that we say can have either a positive effect on somebody else. It can be something that encourages them, lifts them up, helps them feel really good. Or we can use words that have a negative effect on somebody where it makes them feel not so great about themselves. Maybe it makes them sad or even mad. And we have to really know when to use the right words in the right way at the right time for the right reason. So when we're talking about the Using Our Words tool, we kind of can picture using a pencil. That's the tool that gives us the example, because just as we use our pencils when we're writing in class, when we're writing things at school, we write our feelings, we write our ideas, we write lots of different things. So we have to think about what kind of words we want to use when we're writing. Similarly, when we're talking with friends or when we're dealing with things that are maybe hard for us, we're trying to problem solve, we need to make sure that we're using our words in a way that can help the situation, help us work through stuff rather than be harmful. So I want to hear from Mr. V. When other people do things that you don't like, do you tell them how you feel about that honestly and respectfully? How does that usually go for you?
Well, my first part would be it kind of depends on how I'm feeling, I guess. So there have been times that I maybe was really angry or frustrated, and I was like either in the yellow zone or the red zone and not feeling great, that maybe I said some things that I regretted, that I shouldn't have said because of the way I was feeling. So I think it's a good idea to take the time that you need before you're ready to talk, and always practice having that phrase of like, I'm not ready to talk yet. Because when you are ready and your head is cool and you're in the green zone, you're able to think about what you're going to say and respond in a way that gets your point across and doesn't cause an argument, and that helps solve problems. I know we've talked about that a lot at school in the Grizzly Den, and when we were at school, one of our core 4 we used was being a problem solver. And I know that when we've had students in and we're saying unkind things to each other, the problem never gets solved. It just gets bigger. And so when we can have friends in that are able to talk with each other and be respectful with each other, they're able to generally solve problems and sometimes even apologize to each other.
Very important difference is learning to use your words, the right words in the right way, and especially at the right time. I know, just like Mr. V talked about, sometimes when we've had conflict at school and we've been trying to problem solve, sometimes you're not ready to solve because maybe you're still upset, maybe you're still in the yellow zone, maybe even the red zone, because something happened that really upset you. And it's okay to say that you're not ready to problem solve right in that moment. When I think of wanting to work through a problem, this is, my friend told me this, think of it like having a cookie. If you are really upset and you want to work through the problem, but you know that you're really not going to approach it in a way where you're being thoughtful or considerate of the other person, you're just angry, but you want to talk about it right then and there, that's not the right time And so maybe you'll get a cookie, but maybe it's going to be oatmeal raisin, which I don't like oatmeal raisin cookies. I don't know about you guys, but oatmeal raisin, they're gross cookies. Sure, I get a cookie, but do I feel like I got what I really wanted? No. If I can instead wait and talk about it with the person that I need to solve a problem with when I've had a little bit of time, they've had a little bit of time, we're calmer, we're ready to use the right words at the right time, guess what kind of cookie I'm going to get when we solve our problem? My favorite chocolate chip cookie. So you're going to get a cookie one way or another if you have to work out a problem with somebody. But do you want a cookie right away that's really a gross cookie you don't like and you're not really going to solve your problem as well as you could? Or do you want to wait a little bit when you're both in the right mindset and it's a better time and you can have your favorite cookie because you're ready to work it out together? And when we're talking about what we say, because this is our using our words tool, there is a very big difference, just like Mr. V said, of using helpful words and using harmful words when we're trying to solve problems or when we're trying to tell somebody how we feel or what we think. So Mr. V, what do you think would be examples of some harmful words, things that aren't great?
So some examples I can think of, and sometimes one of the examples I'm going to include is actually not using words at all that can be hurtful as well. So sometimes you actually need to at least be able to say, I'm not ready to talk about it, because say you're in class and an assignment is really hard and you're super frustrated. There's a couple ways you could deal with that. Sometimes somebody will just not say anything, and a teacher or somebody's trying to help and they won't say anything. Another way would be the assignment's really hard and you're really frustrated and the teacher comes by or something and you're like, this assignment's so stupid. We know that you are not pleased with that assignment and we know that you're feeling some sort of frustration, but we don't know why. And even if you really didn't like it, and there was other ways that you could say, I just really don't enjoy doing this kind of drawing, or I don't enjoy this kind of activity. And it gets the same point across in a respectful way that people understand how you're feeling without it being hurtful to someone else or causing confrontation or arguments.
And when we talk about using hurtful words, some of the ones that I hear when students are really upset, a lot of times when they're in the red zone, they're angry with someone else because of something that happened. A lot of times students will say things like, no one likes you, you're not my friend. And these are people that are their really good friends, but they're angry and they're saying things that they don't really mean in that moment. They're just angry. And so they're using harmful words, words that hurt, words like you're mean, you're dumb, you're ugly. When someone says stuff like that to me, it really doesn't make me feel good at all.
Well, and is what happens too is a lot of times is when you make that other person not feel good, each time that happens, the more often that happens, it damages that relationship a little bit more. And over time, that might be a relationship that doesn't last. A lot of times too, sometimes it's just a miscommunication. Again, using your words. Both people weren't using words, and it starts to be one person thinks one thing and one person thinks one thing, and neither one of them are right. But because they're not communicating and not using words and not being appropriate with their problem-solving language, it just gets worse and worse until people are angry and then they don't talk at all.
Right. And when we talk about, Mr. V said, it hurts the friendship, it hurts the relationship. Harmful words close us off. They make us not want to be engaged with someone else, not have somebody as a friend in our life. We don't want to talk to them as much anymore. So when we're using harmful words, we're closing ourselves off and we're closing off other people. They're probably going to close off to us. So we want to keep our relationships with others opened up where we can be kind and loving to each other. That's why we want to use helpful words even when we have to problem solve. So what do you think helpful words would look like if we're trying to problem solve, Mr. V?
There are times that maybe I ask my son to do something, to get dressed in the morning, and he is frustrated about that because he really does not want to. And so the helpful words that he can use are telling me why, instead of like just yelling or being grouchy or not saying anything, he can say, well, I want to get something to eat first. I'm really hungry. Then I understand what the problem is. If he can explain to me what he's feeling or what he needs, I can usually accommodate that. But if he just starts yelling at me, then I'm not as accommodating. Then it generally becomes more of a battle or a confrontation. If he can tell me what the problem is, I can usually coach him through how to solve that problem. So if he can say, well, I missed what my teacher said, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm really frustrated, I can help him by either looking, or I can coach him on how to ask the teacher at an appropriate time in an appropriate way so that he can get that help.
That's very true. And that's a very good example of, even when we're home with family, we need to remember the difference between hurtful words that will close us off to each other and helpful words that will keep us open so that we can keep having good, positive relationships with each other. We're all going to get frustrated. That's part of life. And we're all going to have times where we're in the yellow zone, where we're in the red zone because we're angry, or maybe we're in the blue zone because we feel hurt by something that happened, or we feel sad. And it's important to use our words. Even when you're hurt by something because someone didn't do something you want to do, you can still use your words in a way that's helpful to work through what you want to do together.
And I want to challenge everybody to really concentrate on thinking about this when you're interacting with your family, and especially your parents, and find out how much easier things go. I want you to really pay attention to the difference between how you get what you want or you need when you use those communication methods. I tell that to my son all the time, of like, as long as you treat me respectfully and responsibly and communicate appropriately, you will notice a huge difference when you talk to your family respectfully and are a problem solver, that they will be so much more patient with you as well. And it makes everything easier. Generally, you can work as a team really well.
And as a last thing before we do our imagination practice, I also want to challenge you guys, the ways that you talk to yourself. Make sure that you're using helpful words and not harmful words. When you're getting frustrated with something at school, maybe you're learning something that's a little harder for you. A harmful word is saying something like, I'm too stupid, I don't know what this is. That's not going to help you, and that doesn't make you feel good about yourself. That closes you off. Instead, you can say, this is harder for me, it's going to take some practice. I might have to work a little more on this. And that's okay. You know, I'm still an adult, and some things I get frustrated with because they're hard. And I have to tell myself, yes, this is hard. Just means I'm going to have to work a little bit more on it. And that's okay.
And their habits, like Miss Ali said, if you're not talking to yourself nicely, it's really hard for you to keep it in your mind to talk to other people nicely. It's habits. If you practice it more, you will do it more. If you're always negative to yourself and you're really into that negative talk and you're using hurtful language, it becomes habit. You do it without thinking. So practice, just like Miss Ali said.
All right, and we're actually going to do an imagination practice again to finish off our guidance video today. So I'm going to ask you to put both of your feet on the floor. Make sure that you're in a comfortable sitting position. Put your hands on your knees or on the desk in front of you. Wherever you're looking, make sure that it's something that you don't have to really think about what you're looking at, and you can just focus on doing the imagination practice with me. So to start, we're going to do 3 slow belly breaths. I'm going to count them for us. Inhale. Exhale. Again, inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. I want you to practice saying kind words to yourself. You might say, I tried hard today, or I can be a good friend, when I want to be. Notice how good it feels to use our words to be kind to yourself. Now, imagine using our words to be kind to someone else. Isn't it great how words can really help us feel better? Your words can make a difference for someone else. They can either make someone feel good or make someone feel bad. We need to remember that mean words make people, including us, feel sad or mad or bad. Think about the way that you talk to yourself and think about the way that you talk to others. Do you use helpful words or do you usually use harmful words? What can you do to change that if you're using harmful words? All right, we're going to take another deep breath together. Inhale. Exhale. You can wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. I want you guys this week, while you're going about your week, pay attention to how you talk to yourself. Are you using words that are helpful to yourself, or are you usually using words that are harmful? And then I want you to think about how you're talking to other people that are around you. Pay attention. Are you using words that are usually helpful, or are you using words that are harmful? Remember, helpful words open us up to have good relationships with others. Harmful words will close us off and make it hard to have good relationships. All right, it was good to do this video again for you guys, Grant Grizzlies. We hope you have a great week, and we hope to see you in our lunch groups.
Bye, Grizzlies.